Good evening, good evening, good evening. Anita Dawn here from Cell Pilates. How is everybody today? Yeah, I hope you've had a good day. It's been really wet and bit very damp here in Manchester. So I know some of you in different parts of the country. How's the day been for you? I think it's nationwide, isn't it? I hope. Just checking. Yeah, everything's on. So many switches to switch on here. Alrighty, so we got a couple of minutes to go, guys. Yeah, if you're watching me, if you're with me tonight, say hello in the comments. Yeah, always nice to know. It really helps to know that I'm actually teaching a real person live. But no worries, I understand. Yeah, you have your schedules. I mentioned lunchtime. It's so important that we do have structure to our days. So as long as you've got structure and you've made your own structure, and you stick to it 80%, 80-20, yeah, 80% of the time, stick to your structure, stick to your good eating program, your good exercise program. Yeah, that's really important. Okay, so we have hip mobility today. We did it last week, but we did it standing. So I'll just wait. We've got another minute to go, just in case people are rushing at the last minute. I was on a phone call trying to sort out my booking system. It's with Zoom. Zoom's always changing. Alrighty. I might have labels. I'm just trying this top on. Not quite sure whether I like it. What do you think, guys? It's actually a thermal vest. I hope it's not too revealing. All right, so we're going to do floor work. We'll start off on our feet. Yeah, we're going to do a little bit of a warm up. So when we're mobilizing, yeah, just wait a moment. Yeah, just yeah. All right. Oof. Chilly. Although it's what is the temperature today? It's actually got warmer, but when it's damp, it's just the sun doesn't come out. All right, we're about to turn past here. Yeah. All right, so I'm working with no shoes on today. It doesn't really matter whether you wear shoes or not, but I just thought it's kind of a little bit. It's not really Pilates based. Everything I do is Pilates based. There you go. So Anita Dawn here. Welcome. From Cell Pilates, and we are doing hip mobility. We did hip mobility standing. I don't know if you guys did that, and we used a block. We did standing, and we did some circling around the hip, yeah, which is very, very good, but I find that the range is limited. I don't think there's any perfect way to do mobility in the hip joint, so we are going to be using a strap today. So if you have yourself a strap, and it's optional, yeah, it just really helps. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of a warm-up first, a little bit of movement on our feet. Let me just get that my music. I hope it's not too loud there. So we'll just march it out. It is quite slow, yeah, so we're just going to do an easy squat, down and up, down. So with the squat, take the hips back, lead with the pelvis. There you go. So you might want to do a baby squat. And as you come up, lengthen through the hips there. And up. Hope everything's okay there. That's good. Yeah. And then I'm going to do a squat and a leg lift to the right. Squat and up. Sit back. So nothing too intense. Just getting some movement around the hip joint. Then we're going to take that leg behind, a little press back, squat and lift. Little squeeze on the glutes. 4 more times here. That's 4 and 3. Oh yeah. And 2. Then we're going to squat, little knee lift forward, squat and up. So I'm not using the hands here, just keeping it pretty simple. And it's about the pelvis, the hips, the lower body, and hold the squat. Yeah, and down and up. And last time. All right, so I'm going to start off sitting down on the floor. I'm going to grab my strap. Let's see how the time goes. Yeah, so we're not going to do any balance tonight. If you want to do some balance, it's good to do it not all the time, but on a regular basis. So do pick up one of the previous ones. Yeah, so sitting on your mat, feet towards the edge of the mat, and supporting yourself with that backward lean. And we're going to take the right leg out. keeping the pelvis very relatively still, and then the left knee is coming in. So I've got external rotation in the right, internal on the left, the back to the center and over to the left. So very gently, you might want to go a little slower and just see how that feels in the hip joint. Yeah. So we're not getting full range of movement in the hip, but we're getting a range that we don't often get in different positions. All right, so then we're going to take the strap and we're going to, lie on our back. We're going to take the strap around the right leg and we're going to hold it quite close to the knee. So what we want to do is to be able to relax the leg, and I'm going to extend that left leg down along the floor, and I can relax the leg. So we want that mobility. We don't want the muscles to really tighten and reduce the amount of mobility we have in the hip joint. So I didn't actually do it here, but what we would do, particularly in the hip joint or any of the joints, start off with a small circle, and then we get bigger and bigger. We call it spiraling. Then let's reverse that circle. So start off small. So my arms are actually doing quite a lot of work here. So I have external rotation. I don't have extension at the hip joint there in this position. I have internal rotation and flexion, just circling around. So from there, we would then change legs. So support that left leg. So I'm holding that strap in two places. Got my right leg extended so it's out the way. Let's circle one way. It doesn't really matter which way you start with, and just see how that feels in the hip joint. But really try to relax the leg and feel that your arms, the arms are doing most of the work. Start to go in a bigger range of movement there. And then reverse. Start off small. It's quite hard, isn't it, to sometimes relax the body parts. That's one of the hardest parts about Pilates, but it's a good principle. If you're not using it, don't contract it. Let it relax. And then release there. Okay, so that's one way, is to do it lying on your back. So for some reason, you might not want to be in that position, but just let's see how it feels for you on your side. We're not using the strap here, so we have a certain amount of muscle engagement, and I want to keep the pelvis still here. So we think about doing circles with the knee, so we don't get so much internal rotation this way, but we can get that extension at the hip joint. So there's not really a perfect way. You really relax the leg, unless you're kind of hanging from the ceiling and someone else is moving the leg for you. And then let's start small on the other way. So see if you can get that external rotation, flexion, internal rotation. As I say, that's limited, but you've just got that in the previous one, and we want to get open up through the hip joint there. Hopefully that feels okay. So it's always good to explore how the hips are, because as we do too much sitting, particularly in lockdown, let's go to the other side, particularly in lockdown, then it's the hips that again they get very, very stiff, and we'll start to lose some of the mobility in the hip joint, and then that's going to affect the back as well. So not good. All right, so pretty much a neutral spine here. Waist is lifted because we want those hips to remain nice and still. So we start off in a small movement. So I've got flexion, the mic's in the way, and lateral rotation. So I do feel there I've got that maximum range, and I can have maximum range going back down, into extension, but not in that internal rotation. How does that feel? So really important to do this. It's not something that we do. I don't ever remember doing this in a class. It's only when I'm teaching Pilates and looking at successful aging and looking at how we can always improve the way that we age, reduce. Are we going around the other way, guys? I look at quality, not quantity. So it's about 5, 8 in each direction, and then release that. So hopefully that works nicely for you. And then sitting down. So for the hips, you want to be able to sit up straight, whichever position you have. Yeah. So some people find that they don't have the mobility in the hip to sit like this. So what I'd suggest you do is to get yourself a block. Yes, and sit on the block. There might be other reasons why you can't sit in this position, so just be mindful on the knees and the hips. But this is opening up the hip there, and it's just, again, getting some more mobility in the hip joints. And then slowly you can come and just perch off the block. My hips feel so much better because I make myself sit on the floor. And then of course you'd want to put the legs over, and well, I couldn't have done this. I stopped adopting this position before we came online because it was uncomfortable, but I've been doing it more and more, and it's so much more comfortable. So it's really important you do that there, guys. Yeah. All right. So it's good standing up like we did last week, but variety is the spice of life, isn't it? Particularly when our everyday variety is reduced. Let's loosen out the shoulders, and as I mentioned, always good to move out through the spine. Different ranges of movement. Always loves that movement to keep the discs hydrated and mobility in the vertebrae. Let's take a nice inhale. Always good to fill those lungs with fresh air. Exhale out, and again inhale and exhale. So, okay, I hope you learned something from that, and make sure you do incorporate that into your several times a week in your mobility workout. It's not really workout, but stretching repertoire there. Okay, so I will be back tomorrow morning for cardio. So we're giving the salsa a miss for a few days, just getting on some basic, but started doing a little bit faster. So it's still basic, but just seeing how you go there with slightly faster music. And then tomorrow we're going to work the thighs. We're looking at muscles in the middle of the day, thighs, inner outer thighs, and then we don't really have mobility there, so we'll do some balance in the evening. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, and if you're not watching it now, because I don't think anyone is, there's no one there, but do put hashtag replay if you're watching it later. Let me know how your hips are doing. Yeah, and if you've got any questions, then please pop them in the comments box. All right, you guys have a good evening, and bye from me.